Hey guys, Domeman here with another video. That's right, coming back at you through the power of the internet, live! Well, okay, maybe not live, but yeah, you get the idea. So, this video is going to be a theorycraft video on what happens when players capture a Bengal carrier. That's right, we're going to be dialing it up to 11, ripping off the knob and eating the amp. We're going all the way to 11, baby. So, in this video, we're basically going to go over a quick theorycraft of what happens to basically the power shift and the balance once players, or a player group, you could say, captures a Bengal carrier. So first off, what is there to say about the Bengal? Well, the Bengal is a pretty big beast. It's 1,000 meters in length, and it's built by RSI, Robert Space Industries, same guys who brought you the Constellation and the Aurora. Its maximum crew is 1,000. That's right, 1,000 people. That's a whole lot of dudes. Its range is unlimited. Its reactor can run for 20 plus years. Its main focus is battle group fighter bomber support platform, so it's basically a carrier for these other combat ships. Its mass empty is around 113,000 tons, and I would prefer saying things in tons because, you know, it's more of my kind of system. Its cargo capacity is 15,000 tons. Now, there is no information on what that is in SCU. The engines are classified, however. It has, well, its max class is antimatter. Its main thrusters are 6 tier 10 rated thrusters, 4 tier 8 thrusters, and 4 tier 7 thrusters. Its maneuvering thrusters, it has 16 tier 6 engines. Now, when you talk about ships on this scale, they use a different class system in terms of engines, not weapons, but engines. They use a whole different chart, you could say. So armament, this thing has got one bearing turret with one 130mm shipbuster railgun. No problemo. This thing can punch a hole in something like it's nothing. It's got an 18 ASD ship-to-ship turrets with dual ion cannons. That's right, we're talking ion cannons. This is where it gets crazy. It's got 40 Max OX AA turrets with dual heavy-duty laser cannons, 16 Claws and Warner rolling space frame with 21 missiles each, so that's, well, basically a lot of rockets. It's got 4 Talon Sweeper mine dispensers, and ammunition types it has, such as heat, EMP, nuclear, antimatter, and another one that I'm not too sure about, which is just under web, whatever that is. Defenses, it's got 14 Phalanx point defense laser gatlings. It's got 13.4 Icarus armor plating, so it's got 13.4 inches thick Icarus armor plating. It's got 14 Phoenix class shield generators. It's got 6 HT-2000 burst shield generators, backup non-sustainable shields, therefore 2 fore and 2 mid and 2 aft. So these shields can cycle out. When some other shields are about to fail, it activates its bank and its shields recharge pretty much instantaneously as these new shields pick up the slack of the older battery charge as it runs low on the other shields, which is pretty insane. I mean, this thing is a goddamn tank, and then you gotta think to yourself, how the hell are players supposed to get this? Well, the Bengal carrier is by far not the biggest fish out there. It's actually quite small in the grand scheme of things. Like, the Bengal carrier is actually really small compared to what the Vanduul have. The Vanduul have stuff that makes the Bengal carrier literally look like just a regular ship of the line. It makes the Bengal carrier just look like a regular large-sized ship next to another capital ship. I mean, the Vanduul have got these huge capital ships. I mean, they're literally gargantuan. So the Bengal class carrier is a UEE's tip of the spear, basically. It's the iconic and one of the most powerful warships available to the UEE Navy, and its imposing presence has held off raiders and the Vanduul throughout the outer colonies, allowing humanity to spread unchallenged. Bengals carry multiple squadrons of fighters, bombers, and support craft. Their massive armaments are extremely heavy, shielding to make it nearly impossible for individual craft to threaten them. Only a combined effort would ever hope to destroy or capture one. Now, That's true from the human side of things, and maybe for the smaller Vanduul raiding parties, but as we know, the Vanduul have been getting a little bit of a turbocharged upgrade, with things like their driller being way bigger than a Bengal, and drillers are going to be relatively common compared to king ships, put it that way. And the king ship makes this thing look absolutely pitiful. I mean, the king ship is huge. So basically, how you get your hands on a Bengal carrier, Ben Lesnick wrote this a very long time ago. He said, oh, you don't have to be outside the law to get Bengals, though the idea is that we would have seeded a couple of them in the verse, rendered derelict by the Vanduul or other attack. Players can go out there, find them, and fix them up, and basically, you know, use them and do what they want with them. Well, that changed. It changed so that it's now illegal to own a Bengal carrier. So if you are planning on capturing a Bengal carrier and you're looking for the best reputation with the UE, I would maybe hold off on that, because the second you go into UE held space or something like this, it will basically be flagged. They would say, oh, one of our ships has basically been spotted or found, a ship that we maybe thought was lost. They will contact you and then reclaim it from you. But if you fail to hand it over, you will then be making yourself an enemy of the UEE Navy. But if you're a pirate, you don't really care. So this is going to be more leaning towards mercenaries, pirates, people who live outside the law. If they're looking for a Bengal carrier, it would be the perfect base of operations. Death Star, weapon of mass destruction, you name it, it's got it all. However, Bengal carriers are persistent in the universe 24/7. If everybody on the ship logs out, it doesn't just despawn. It will sit there. However, as we know, ship computers can take over turrets, so essentially what you can do is you could put the computing power to use on the turrets, set them to shoot at anything that comes close, so if everyone is asleep and logged off, at least the ship has got some defense. You put all power to the shields and the weapons, and then you just let the turrets do their thing. So if any would-be attackers fly along and spot this thing once you've captured it, then they will do the rest. So, what would it take to fix a Bengal carrier and capture it? A whole great deal of secrecy. I mean, a real huge amount of secrecy. You cannot capture a Bengal carrier and start working on it and start telling people, because other people will then come and take it from you as you're working on it. So there's two ways this could go down. Okay, so way number one, medium-sized organization. Maybe it has 200 members, maybe it has 150 members. It's going along, and they're, you know, pirates, raiders, whatever you want to call them, and they're really looking for something to be the jewel of their fleet. They're looking for maybe a Pegasus carrier, but they discover a Bengal. Now, first thing they're going to do is either basically think to themselves, hey, free salvage, but you'd be foolish to do that. If you're a raider or anyone outside the law, this poses a huge opportunity to really have a giant big-ass stick to basically wave around and literally become the top of the food chain in that whole kind of criminal environment. Also means you'll be at top of the hit list and the most wanted for other anti-renegade kind of forces. So if this raider group, so this is situation A, this raider group captures the Bengal carrier and they're starting to work on it, everyone will have to be very, very much quiet about this, because if they're not, midway through the repairs, they may have another pirate organization challenge them, and then you'll have this huge space battle around this ship as it's being worked on, with people fighting on board, and all sorts of craziness, as the ship is still in a derelict state, but you have people fighting over the remains, like scavengers fighting over the remains of a dead whale or something at the bottom of the ocean. You know what I mean? Like crabs and stuff. But yeah, it's gonna be pretty cool. But if that organization does pool their resources and they get this thing running, and they've got around 150 people, they could probably put maybe 70 of those people to working on the ship and actually interacting with it. You can't expect everyone in your organization to be on board with something like that, because most of them will be wanting to do their own thing, make some money, maybe go back to pirating some more people with their ship or whatever, or, you know, raiding and doing stuff like that. But those who are really on board with the plan, which may be the vast majority, will probably stay with the ship. And once they've got it running, I mean, you don't need 1,000 people to run a Bengal carrier. You can do it sort of comfortably with maybe 100 or so. So these guys will be running a little understaffed. Most of the computing power is going straight to the turrets. So when this sucker gets moving, and they've got it now, they will be spreading this information like wildfire. They'll be saying, hey, we got a Bengal carrier, you know, don't fuck with us kind of deal. And then what will happen next is a huge shift in power. Now, something like this can only really happen at least 4 or 5 months after the soft release of Star Citizen, so that's once groups have got themselves established. They may have found the Bengal carrier in the early days, but they've kept it secret for all that time until they had the resources to start really getting this thing mobile. It will not have the best components on board anymore, it won't have military grade stuff. They'll probably be running it with industrial civilian grade parts, just to basically get it moving. Now, when it comes to big ships like this, I mean, there is nearly nothing that small organizations can do to stop something like this. It will literally steamroll them. What will happen next is one of two things. The big pirate orgs and all the major pirate players may have sort of certain parlays with one another, and some of them may be at war with each other. Same with mercenary guilds and things like this. But what might happen after a pirate org captures this is either jealousy will be too much and these big pirate orgs will ally together to take it off of this smaller org, or they will bring this smaller org into the fold who has the Bengal carrier, and that organization could then essentially basically be the guys who dictate where they go with their big ship, thus causing this huge alliance of pirates to come together. And this is a scary thought for two reasons. Pirate organizations, if they allied together, especially around something like this, and we're now talking, the numbers are going to go into the thousands here, this is where it gets a little crazy. This Bengal carrier will have such a big fleet with it that it will literally rival anything that, like, literally that the UAE could throw at them. This is going to be a huge fleet. If these pirates get together and do this, and, you know, become an alliance, you could say, unite under one banner but still keep their own names, then you've got a huge problem for everybody else. These guys will be like locusts. They will arrive in a system, take everything, move on to the next, take everything, and they'll be destroying most things that they come up against. The only real way to stop something like that would be for other player groups such as bounty hunters, PMCs, mercenary groups who are more lawful to unite to bring something like this down, but there poses the real problem. I've noticed that PMCs and more of the lawful organizations are very much reluctant to basically work together as equals. They all want to be top dog. Everybody wants to be, oh, we're the best pirate hunting guild out there, or, oh, but we're so good at hunting pirates, we do this, and all this type of stuff. And it's a bit of a joke in a way, because that's going to be the downfall. If these guys do unite, the second the crap hits the fan, they'll start blaming each other and pointing the fingers instead of actually moving on and getting ready for a counterattack. They've got to stick together in those types of scenarios, but I just don't see that happening. What could cause the big change in a sort of term of events would have to be a medium-sized organization basically sacrificing themselves and all their assets to do as much damage as possible to the enemy fleet. If that was to happen, that may just spark the ignite the gas tank basically on the floor to get all the other PMCs off their asses able to do something. This one huge act of heroism could make the huge difference, or it could serve as a warning to other PMCs not to try anything. But yeah, when something like that happens, it's only a matter of time before the pirate guilds start to turn on each other, so there's a bonus there. If the pirates capture this thing, or if a mercenary group does, it's only a matter of time before they start to turn on one another, and then maybe another group thinks, hey, we could take the Bengal off of these guys. And then there'll be a lot of infighting. When that happens, it's the best time to strike. Even a medium-sized organization with that much infighting happening around this ship, a huge battle like that would basically be something like people would expect to see on EVE. It would melt the servers, so the frickin' FPS would probably drop. And even with like all the object container streaming and the server meshing and all that stuff, I'm pretty sure this would make this one instance very laggy, where you have all of these ships. Like, you can imagine this big kind of battle going on, like all these pirates fighting each other, and the Bengal carrier just basically shooting anything that comes close. At this moment would be perfect for another PMC. It would probably be being broadcasted on Twitch or some other streaming service at this time when this happens. So you'd expect maybe, you know, people to watch this on the stream, and that is when other PMCs will say, right, this is the time to strike. They're all killing each other. Now we gotta go in and destroy that Bengal carrier and completely just nail it, blow it up, destroy it as best they can, and then cause the pirates to scatter, because once you destroy what they're fighting over, they will then leave, and the balance will be restored. But the problem here is the big alliance that follows something like this, and the worst case scenario would be this big alliance, they capture a Bengal carrier, a derelict one, and then they move on to capture another. Now this is where things will get really bad. Bigger organizations. Now, the ones that are around right now will not exist after soft release in the capacity they exist now. They will basically be disintegrated and things like that. Like Test Squadron will no longer be this huge thing. It's already falling apart now. The problem with Test Squadron is the higher-ups want to be pirates, but a lot of the members don't know this, and they just want to maybe be Genesis Starliner pirates. What they don't pilots, sorry. And what they don't realize is organization reputation will affect your personal reputation. So if you want to be a Genesis Starliner pilot, you won't be able to do that if you're part of a pirate guild, because that will affect your reputation. You're not going to let Blackbeard fly a 747 full of nuns. It just is not gonna happen. So these bigger organizations will disintegrate. Explore, I don't see that falling apart too quickly, to be honest, because it's more of a freelance kind of exploration guild. They don't really unite under one common banner to cause like any kind of change to the verse other than discovery, and that's a really positive thing to do, like to go out there and just to search for new things. So that's good. They're not dedicated to combat, which is important. Operation Pitchfork is more of a one-day kind of deal. Yeah, it's gonna be a slaughter, but yeah, that's pretty much that. But yeah, all the other huge guilds are going to disintegrate over time. A lot of the ones you see now that are basically pretty active are going to eventually disintegrate. Nothing will basically keep these guilds going if, people change their minds and things like that. The smaller and the more medium-sized organizations will stick around for a very long time, simply because the members know each other so well that they've become good friends. They're basically compadres. And those bonds are pretty strong, and a bond is what keeps people together. So if you have a medium-sized organization, they will keep going for a very long time, and they will also have the veteran knowledge of the whole project as a unit, and that's very important. But back to what I was saying. So the bigger organizations that form after release will be the heavy hitters. They will be the new big orgs. So forget about names like Test Squadron, Pitchforks, and things like that. You'll be getting new organizations that will be, the ones that number in the real critical mass kind of number range, because these guys have proven themselves to be the most dangerous in combat against other organizations and stuff. These guys have actually got a real reputation, not just some nonsense that, we are the ones who are able to spread the most media around or something. These guys actually done the real time. So when that happens, it's going to be this huge power shift, right? You're going to have these new really big organizations. Say one of the big organizations captures a Bengal carrier, then everybody else is in deep trouble, because chances are, if they are already maybe number 2 or number 3, or if they're number 1, it's not too big a deal. But if they're number 2 or number 3, expect a huge conflict to soon follow with them and the second biggest organization or the first biggest organization, and they will basically then go to war with them with their Bengal carrier to try and knock them off that pedestal and say, we are the most dangerous, we are the toughest guys around. And the second they do that, their numbers will swell. They'll have a whole bunch of new members. So the Bengal carrier itself does change the balance of power in the verse on its own, if in the wrong hands. In the correct hands, however, unfortunately, it's rendered illegal, so it makes it rather difficult for people who don't want to break the law to use something like this. I wish what Ben Lesnick said all those years ago was still relevant today, but unfortunately, times change. Bengal carriers are unique. The best way to get away from one is to go planetside, because they do not do well in gravity. As there is a lore story about what happened to a Bengal carrier that was chasing some outlaws, and it's a pretty groovy one, this. So this Bengal carrier, it's chasing these outlaws down to this planet. The captain realizes by the time he, that the gravity of the planet is too strong for his thrusters to counter it. By the time he realizes this, it's too late. The Bengal carrier literally falls out the sky. He tries to tilt the nose up to basically pull the Bengal carrier, like, with all of its thrust out of the planet, and it just crashes into the ground. But it hits the ground with such force that half of the ship ends up basically crumpled and slightly buried, causing the nose, the bridge, and the whole front half of the ship to be sticking out the ground. As the years go by, this turns into a pirate base. So essentially the inside of this downed Bengal carrier is a huge city. A pirate city. How kick-ass is that? Now, me personally, I am not a fan of pirates. I mean, I am very much anti-pirate. I run an organization. We hunt pirates. That's like one of our big things. We also do search and rescue, and we also are very anti-Vandal because, you know, damn Xenos. Goddamn aliens. Destroy the mutant. But yeah, when it comes to things like this, so like the Bengal carrier, it really is a gorgeous ship. I mean, you can't deny it. The lines on it, the shape. I mean, it's a very iconic design. It borrows a lot of the shape language from the Rebel ships from Star Wars, but then it also has the aggressiveness of more of the Imperial side to have that real iconic feel. It's got those blocky kind of shapes, and it's also got those sharp angles near the rear. But there's a lot of design language going on with this ship to let you know it's the good guys, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's the Bengal carrier situation pretty much. That's situation 1. Situation 2, however, is a lot darker. Okay, situation 2. We get a bunch of maybe a PMC who doesn't care about the law. They capture a Bengal. They get it repaired, they get it working. They decided, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to go and find where the smaller organizations are, and we're going to basically shoot the crap out of them. We're going to basically extort them for everything they have. Now, this is a very real threat. These guys will not respond to pirates. They won't respond to bounty hunters. These guys are going to kill everyone and everything on sight just because they can. Basically, imagine a Bengal carrier captured by psychopaths. An entire guild of griefers. And if you think they don't exist, there's already 2 that do exist right now. With permadeath, their numbers will drop dramatically as people realize, hold on, being a griefer is actually detrimental. But if they manage to get a Bengal carrier, they will be able to grief the hell out of anybody. So if these guys get something like this, good news is they won't have any allies to protect them when the crap hits the fan. Bad news is these guys are going to kill you the second this thing shows up. How you would counter something like this would be a awesome fleet. You're going to need a lot of damage, like a lot of DPS. What you're also going to need is, let's say you're going to need a goddamn frickin' bunch of Krakens to support your smaller fleet of fighters, because this thing will be carrying fighters and bombers. You will need your own basically fleet of fighters alone. You're gonna probably have a few other guilds come together. Now, the reason guilds will come together to fight this is because they most likely would have been killed by this. You'll probably have pirates, PMCs, bounty hunters working together for this one solid, like, solidarity kind of mission, which is destroy the Griefer Bengal. When they've united, it'll be this huge mix-mash fleet of ships, pirate ships, PMC ships, civilian trade ships, everything. Just one big block of ships charging this thing head-on. You're probably looking at catastrophic losses on the, let's say, the anti-Griefer fleet, but the Griefer ship would have been destroyed. What happens after that is anyone's guess. They might just turn on each other, and, you know, you'll have the bounty hunters trying to destroy the pirates, and you'll have the PMCs fighting one another, and it'll just be complete chaos, and you're looking at maybe a total destruction of the entire thing. But yeah, the Bengal carrier is a very unique ship in which it basically shifts the power. The balance of power does shift dramatically around this ship. It is a huge cornerstone in that kind of gameplay, and I cannot wait to see more information on it. So, yeah, the Bengal carrier. What are your thoughts? What do you think of this ship? I really, really want to know. Let me know in the description below on how you would attack that kind of situation. What would you do if this was to happen to you? Like, what would your plans be? Thank you again so much for watching my videos. I really do appreciate it, guys. I was going to do the fleet composition video this week, but I have been pretty much snowed under. I'm dealing with a lot of life stuff right now, so I do apologize. So yeah, like, what are your thoughts? What would you do in this situation? Would you basically fly around in your Mako news van and record the whole thing, or would you basically sit on the sidelines in your reclaimer and wait for the inevitable destruction of many ships and make a healthy profit? Would you be there on the front line in your fighter, basically, you know, screaming towards the enemy ship, dodging AA weapons and missiles, putting a few hits here and there into critical points on the ship once the shields have dropped, dodging enemy flak, dodging enemy fighters, maybe flying through the actual tunnel, like the landing pads inside, like just whizzing through the tunnel, dropping your bombs in your gladiator bomber? Or would you be there in the capital ship, monitoring your shields, giving commands aboard your ships, telling the engineers to get the goddamn shields up and all this type of stuff, telling the gunners to keep firing on that Bengal carrier, ignore the enemy bombers, all this glorious combat? So what kind of thing would you be doing in that scenario? I would really love to know, because this would help me get to know you guys a little better. Also, what are your desired roles? Are you a pirate? Are you a bounty hunter? Would you want to be a trader? Or are you looking to run a Star Citizen used ship lot? What is it you want to do? Please let me know in the comments below. I really, really do appreciate it. First off, I want to say a very special thank you to the people who make this possible. Without them, this would not be happening. Without them, there would be no more videos, and I wouldn't be able to continue because I simply cannot afford to. So these guys are literally helping me build a new PC so I can deliver better content. So yeah, please, thank you so much. Please everyone say thank you to these guys, the champions: Adrian Miller, Andrew Burton, Bill Brandt, Brandon Kelly, Brandon Manuel, David Toombs, Azumin, Ghost 18000, Samuel Pitt, Tom Talaba, and Yellow. These people are the legends that keep it going, and I cannot thank them enough. You guys, you hit me right in the heart, and I really, really do appreciate it. I love you so much for this. Thank you. And I want to say a special thank you to you for watching my videos, subscribing, liking, and commenting. Please check out the description for some really groovy links, some kick-ass places, and a whole bunch of awesome stuff down there. So yeah, yet again, a huge thank you to you for watching the video. Please share it, please tell me what you think, anything in the comments below, what you would like to see next in videos. Let me know, give me some ideas. I read your comments on the last time, and I've written them all down, your ideas, and I'm basically crunching it down and working it out, and I want to try and make videos that you guys want to see. So yeah, yet again, thank you so much. You know the drill, Commanders. Fly safe, and I'll see you in the verse. If you're looking for a Bar Citizen event, why not check out Bar Citizen San Antonio, Texas? That's right, there's a Bar Citizen event for you to go to. Check out the description for all the relevant information, such as a map, a link to their Discord, and all that good stuff. And I cannot recommend it enough. It's full of the nicest individuals you could possibly hope to meet, all itching to talk about Star Citizen and sci-fi and what the hell ever. So why don't you jump on down there and say hello to some of the guys, and I hope you have a wonderful and amazing time.